Factory output has surprised to the upside. Manufacturing production increased by 1.9% in July, overshooting market estimates of a 1% advance. This marks the second consecutive month of growth driven by the food and beverages division. Higher production of petroleum chemical products, rubber and plastics also helped. Growthpoint's laid out a leadership succession plan. It says Estienne de Klerk will succeed Norbert Sassy as Group CEO. The appointment's effective from July next year and aligns with the start of the company's 2027 financial year. De Klerk, currently the CEO of Growthpoint Properties South Africa, has 30 years' experience in banking and listed property and has held multiple industry leadership roles, including chairman of SA REIT Association, past president of SA Property Owners Association, and founder of the Property Industry Group. Impala Platinum's flagged a slump in year-end profit. The PGM miner expects its headline earnings to plunge by up to 79%. It says that's largely due to the adverse impact of lower sales volumes and inflation on earnings. The amount earned for each 6E ounce sold, meanwhile, stayed the same. Impala Platinum said to open its books later this month. Rainbow Chicken expects its annual profit to surge more than threefold. The poultry producer says its headline earnings per share should rise to about 63 cents from just over 20 cents previously. It cited higher sales volumes and improved agricultural operational performance and reduced costs. Subdued demand has weighed on Italtal. The owner of CTM, Italtal Retail and Top Tea, says that along with intense competition and overcapacity has put pressure on tile manufacturers. Those comments accompanied a year-end trading update. Italtal says system-wide turnover slipped in the second half of its financial year after an encouraging first half. Annual headline earnings per share, meanwhile, are expected to be flat or up by just over 5%. It's added that the trading environment will likely remain challenging in the short to medium term as competition persists. Solid, that's how MTN Uganda described its interim performance. The telco's firms posted a 13% rise in service revenue and a near 18% increase in earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. CEO Sylvia Mulinge says this was achieved despite regulatory changes to mobile termination rates and a one-off tax settlement. MTN Uganda expects the momentum to continue, driven by growing demand for data services, and says it's still targeting upper teen service revenue growth over the medium term. Gemfields is parting ways with its Fabergé brand after nearly 13 years. The colored gemstones miner has agreed to offload the business for $50 million and says the move concludes a strategic review launched in December after tough trading conditions hit its balance sheet. Gemfields says the proceeds will provide additional working capital while the new processing plant at its Montepes ruby mining in Mozambique is operationalized and mining at Kagame in Zambia is progressively expanded. Further afield, NVIDIA and AMD will hand over 15% of their China AI chip sales revenue to the U.S. government. Here's more detail in this report.
NVIDIA and AMD have agreed to give the U.S. government 15% of revenue from sales to China of advanced computer chips. That's according to a U.S. official who spoke to Reuters. It includes chips like NVIDIA's H20 that are used for artificial intelligence applications. Citing national security concerns, U.S. President Donald Trump's administration in April blocked sales of H20 chips to China, but last month reversed course, saying it would allow sales to China to resume. China represents a significant market for both companies, with sales there accounting for 24% of total revenue for AMD for 2024 and 13% of total sales for NVIDIA in the fiscal year ending in late January this year. When asked if Nvidia had agreed to pay 15% of its China revenues to the U.S., a company spokesperson said, quote, "We follow rules the U.S. government sets for our participation in worldwide markets." China's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The U.S. official said the Trump administration did not feel the sale of H-20 and equivalent chips was compromising U.S. national security. The official did not know when the 15% agreement would be implemented or exactly how, but said the administration would be in compliance with the law. The Financial Times said the chip makers agreed to the arrangement as a condition for obtaining the export licenses for their semiconductors. The report said the Trump administration had yet to determine how to use the money.
Meanwhile, in Novo Nordisk's legal fight against dozens of U.S. pharmacies and companies selling cheaper copies of its weight loss drug Wegovy, one name remains conspicuously absent, which is Hims and Hers. Let's take a look.
Novo Nordisk is ramping up lawsuits against US companies selling cheaper versions of its weight loss drug Wegovy. But one firm remains conspicuously absent, Hims and Hers. This telehealth company continues to sell Wegovy copies at lower prices, testing federal restrictions around copyright and contributing to Novo's weaker sales growth. In June, Novo accused Hims of violating its intellectual property and endangering patients. It scrapped a brief deal enabling them to sell Wegovy directly to consumers, instead raising expectations of litigation. But legal experts say Novo may instead pressure Hims to negotiate, especially as the company's prior collaboration could complicate legal action. The Danish drug maker, which has announced 14 new lawsuits, said it wasn't ruling out further action. Overall, it's filed more than 130 cases in 40 US states. However, it's declined to comment specifically on Hims.